This is the Regents Made Simpler video explanation with visuals of the August 2023 Regent Living Environment New York State Regent exam. This is the cover sheet of the examination. You will get that when you take your upcoming exam. You'll see this. So just to familiarize yourself with this information here. Question 1. After ingesting vitamin D, the body converts it into a hormone that is transported throughout the body. This hormone affects cells in the intestines and bones. The reason that this hormone affects only certain cells in the body is because these cells have specific receptors, antibodies, specific organelles, or genes. So in the body, you have the endocrine system, and the endocrine system is very important in regulating and controlling all the activities in your body, that with the nervous system as well. And they use feedback mechanisms to maintain homeostasis, the endocrine system. A classic example is glucose and insulin. What happens is that if your brain detects as too much glucose, and this is just an example of a common case of feedback mechanisms of glucose and insulin levels. So the pituitary gland in the brain will notice there's too much glucose. It will then send a message to this is called a hormone. The endocrine system has glands, and those glands secrete hormones, that those cells secrete hormones to different cells to communicate with them and tell them, what's going on in the body and what needs to be done. So the pituitary gland will send a hormone to the pancreas. This is a hormonal message, and you could see these are the receptor sites on the cells of the liver, the cells of the adrenal gland, the cells of the pancreas. They all have these different receptor sites to take in these different hormones. So these hormones have a specific shape, which will not go to the liver because it does not have the correct receptor site. So therefore, it continues down in the bloodstream, and you see here, it'll tell the pancreas now, it tells the pancreas, which sees the message because it has the correct shape in its receptor site, and it tells the pancreas that there's too much glucose, so the pancreas must release more insulin, and that insulin will open up the cell membrane and allow the glucose to come in because there's too much glucose in the bloodstream. We want that glucose to go into the cells, so therefore it tells the pancreas to release more insulin. So you see how the endocrine system uses hormones to communicate with different cells. And that's what's going on here, is that this hormone affects cells in the intestines and the bones. So why does the hormone affect those cells? Because those cells have the correct receptor sites to tell it what to do. So therefore, the answer is going to be 1, specific receptors. Antibodies, those are used to fight against pathogens, against viruses by the immune system. The organelles are structures inside of the cell, and then genes, that's the DNA, sections of the DNA code. So the answer would be 1, specific receptors. Question 2. Most scientists agree that a large asteroid struck Earth around 65 million years ago. The impact sent large amounts of fine dust particles into the atmosphere, which reduced the amount of sunlight reaching the planet. This event would have the most immediate effect on herbivores, decomposers, carnivores, or autotrophs. Again, the question is asking for the event would have the most immediate. Which would have the most immediate? Obviously, this would impact all different types of organisms on Earth, but which would have the most immediate effect. So again, you have heterotrophs and autotrophs. Heterotrophs and autotrophs, those are types of nutritionist organisms. You can either eat food in order to obtain the nutrients, right? We eat food to obtain glucose, amino acids, and fatty acids. Autotrophs, like plants and vegetation and grass, they could make their own food. They make their own food by the process of photosynthesis, where they take in the sun's energy. They take in the sun's energy in the chloroplast and are able to combine CO2 and water together to make glucose. So the autotrophs take in, by the process of photosynthesis, they are able to take in energy from the sun and create the glucose, and therefore they are called the producers in an ecosystem. They're the producers. They make the food using the sun's energy, and then the herbivores, the primary consumer like cows, they eat those producers, and then if carnivores will eat the consumers. So therefore, the energy from the producers goes up in the ecosystem. So this is asking for, when the asteroid hit Earth, there's a lot of dust particles in the air. This reduced amount of sunlight reaching the planet. So which would have the most immediate effect would be on the autotrophs, because the autotrophs, again, they make the food. They are the producers. Therefore, the answer is going to be 4. Again, it's going to affect all 4 of these choices, but at the most immediate effect would be on the autotrophs. Question 3. The photic sneeze reflex, an inherited trait, causes some people to sneeze when they are exposed to bright sunlight. In the photic sneeze reflex, the sun acts as a what? So you have different body systems in your body. You have different body systems that they all work together to maintain homeostasis. You have a lot of different body systems: the skeletal, muscular, respiratory, digestive, urinary. Takes out the waste, the circulatory transports. The nervous and endocrine system, they regulate, control, and coordinate all activities in the body. They react and respond to stimulus, changes in the external environment. That's what the nervous and endocrine system does. The nervous is quicker than the endocrine, and that is how you could sense, right? You could touch because of the nervous system, and that's what you know what's going on in the outside environment. So this question is asking the photic sneeze reflex, an inherited trait, causes some people to sneeze when they are exposed to bright sunlight. In the photic sneeze reflex, the sunlight acts as a what? So the nervous and the endocrine system, they react and respond to stimulus, which is changes in the internal or external, outside of the body, of the environment, of what's going on. They react to those stimulus, those changes, and they react a certain way. So the sunlight acts as what? In this sneeze reflex, they act as the effect of an environmental factor resulting in a genetic trait. That wouldn't really be the answer. It's not the effect of an. It's a reflex. It's a reaction to a stimulus, to a change in the external environment. The answer is going to be 3, but looking at 2, a biotic factor being passed from parent to offspring. Again, it's not about that was passed. The sunlight does not act as a biotic factor that is passed from the parent to offspring. The sunlight, again, is a change. It's a stimulus. It's a change in the external environment. 3, an environmental factor which stimulates the response. Again, that is what the sunlight does. The sunlight in this case is causing the body to react a certain way, and that is called a stimulus, which is stimulating a response from the body, from the nervous or endocrine system. We see different changes going on throughout in the world. If we touch, a flame, where our fingers move off of it, because that is our body reacting to stimulus, a change in the external and internal environment. So therefore, the answer is going to be 3. It is not going to be 4, which is the sunlight does not act as the recombination of genes resulting from sexual reproduction. No, the sunlight again is just a stimulus in the external environment. Question 4. Difficulties often occur when tissues or organs are transplanted from one person to another because the what? So what happens when someone gets tissues or organs transplanted? So again, you have the bloodstream. What happens inside the bloodstream, inside organisms? You can have something called a pathogen. A pathogen is a foreign virus, a bacteria that enters into a organism's bloodstream and can start attacking the cells of that organism. So here's the pathogen. On the surface of the pathogen, you have these antigens. Now, these antigens help the body's immune system, that is the body's defense system, to fight against the pathogen. They recognize the antigen, and therefore they're able to produce certain antibodies that match up to these antigens. So the white blood cells recognize certain pathogens based on their antigens. Now, when someone gets an organ transplant, that means they get, let's say, a heart transplant. The body already recognizes the white blood cells. They recognize all the antigens on the cells. The cells of an organism also have antigens as well on their surface, but the white blood cells do not attack those cells because they recognize those antigens as part of that organism. When a person gets an organ transplant, they get a new heart. That heart, on the cells of that heart, they have all these different antigens that are foreign to the body. So the white blood cells may not recognize it, and they will start to attack that organ transplant. So a person needs medication to slow down the immune system when he gets an organ transplant. So why are there difficulties that occur? The answer is going to be 3, that the introduction of a foreign substance causes the formation of antibodies. The white blood cells will see the heart coming in, and therefore start to form antibodies that will attack against the cells of the heart. So the answer will be 3. Looking at 1, transplanted structures cannot produce new cells. It's not true. They could produce new cells. Rate of mitosis differs between the 2 people involved. It doesn't really matter. That's not what causes difficulties. 4, 2 people often have the same blood type. It's not true. They don't often have the same blood type. There's A, B, and O, and people have different blood types, but the answer is going to be 3. The reason there are difficulties when you transplant organs from one to another is that the person's white blood cells, the immune system recognizes the antigens of their own body, but they don't recognize the antigens of someone else's organs, and they may start to attack that transplanted organs. Question 5. In humans, digestion depends on a variety of organs such as the stomach, the small intestine, and liver. The interaction of these organs provide evidence that each organ in the human body plays a role in only one life function. Organs in humans work together, resulting in the survival of the individual. 3, the most important life function in humans is the breaking down of food. Or 4, each life function is carried out by at least 4 different systems in humans. So in multicellular organisms, we are multicellular. We're made up of many millions of cells, which come together to make tissues, which make organs, which make organ systems. And now all the organ systems, the body systems, they all work together to maintain homeostasis. Here are many different body systems here, and they all work together to maintain homeostasis. For instance, the respiratory system, it takes in oxygen from the air because your cells need oxygen. It takes in oxygen from the cell, from the air, and then the circulatory system will then transport it throughout the body. The digestive system as well will break down molecules into glucose, amino acids, and fatty acids, which is also transported by the circulatory system. That creates waste in the cells, and the cells will then put it back into the circulatory system, which transports it to the urinary system to take it out. And the nervous and endocrine, they are regulating and controlling all of these actions. And the immune is making sure that the cells aren't attacked by the white blood cells, which attack the pathogens, and they are also controlled and regulated by the nervous and endocrine. Basically, they're not working independently; they're all working together in order to maintain this homeostasis, which is the stable internal environment inside of a body, inside all organisms. So therefore, it wants to know the interaction of the organs provide evidence that it shows that the organs are all working together. So the answer, therefore, is going to be 2, that the organs and humans work together, resulting in the survival of the individual. They don't work independently. They all work together. It's not going to be one which says that each organ in the human body plays a role in only one life function. Each organ plays multiple roles in the body. 3, the most important life function in humans is the breaking down of food. It's not the most important. Again, they work together, and a breakdown in one could be bad for the whole organism. They're really all important. 4, each life function is carried out by at least 4 different systems. It's hard, it's not really in that passage especially, it's not really telling you that information. It's not true anyway. It's not at least 4. They all work together to do many, many different things. Question 6. An example of how a plant maintains homeostasis includes producing many seeds for reproduction, controlling the amount of available solar energy, recycling energy from the sun, or regulating the action of guard cells. So how a plant maintains homeostasis, again, homeostasis is a very important word in the biology region, and that word homeostasis means to maintain a stable internal environment. So all organisms, single-celled, multicellular, they are all trying to maintain homeostasis, which means to maintain a stable internal environment, to have the correct amount of water, the correct temperature, and so on. Now, in plants, they have something called guard cells. Guard cells are specialized plant cells that are used to control gas and water exchange in plants, because plants do the process of photosynthesis, which is they take in water and CO2, combine it in the chloroplast with the sun's energy, and makes it into glucose. So they need CO2 and water. Therefore, the guard cells are very vital, and they allow water and CO2 to come in. If there's too little water, they will open up and allow more to come in. If there's too much, they will close it up. So therefore, an example of how a plant maintains homeostasis would be 4, that it regulates the action of guard cells. The guard cells allow things that is too little comes in, and that is maintaining the stable internal environment of how much water and CO2 it needs. Once has produced many seeds for reproduction. It's not really about homeostasis. An organism doesn't have to reproduce in order to maintain a stable internal environment. A person can go his whole life without having kids. 2, controlling the amount of available solar energy. It doesn't control the amount of available solar energy. The energy comes in from the sun. It doesn't really control how much is coming in. It recycles the energy from the sun. It doesn't recycle the energy. Energy is actually lost as different processes occur and as it moves up the system in the energy pyramid in the ecosystem. But the answer is going to be 4. That is an example of maintaining homeostasis inside of a plant cell. Hey, I'm Donnie Rudansky from Regents Made Simpler, and that is the end of the demo. But if you would like to buy the entire course, which is a 2-part course, and only in 2 hours, you can learn all the material you have to know for the upcoming biology Regent exam, as well as video explanation with visuals of past Regent exams. As of now, I have the past 2 Regent exams up. I'm planning on putting up a 3rd as well, and that is for only $89. You can get all of that, and you can be ready for the upcoming exam. That is less than the price of one tutoring session usually, and for just $89. So I'll show you here what it looks like. So again, you get the 2-part review that goes through the entire material in just 2 hours, as well as video review and with visuals of the past 2 Regent exams as of now. As you see here, it's not just me explaining the questions. I also have visuals from the course to go over each question as well. As you can see here, you can see the video review with explanations and visuals of those exams. So if you want to do well on the upcoming exam for just $89, you can go to regentsmadesimpler.com. The link is right here on the bottom right, and click on it to do well on the upcoming exam.